The Sig P322. Is it good? Does it suck? That's what we're gonna find out today. If it's worth the hype. But first, shout out to my local gun shop, Stockpile Defense. They let me know when they got one of these in, and that allowed me to do the review relatively early. So thanks, guys. If you're in Boise, Idaho and need anything firearms, ammo, or accessories, go check them out. They have a great crew over there. And if you like my channel, please consider subscribing. Smash that like button. That helps out the channel more than you know, so I can afford to do this kind of testing and these kind of reviews. And if you don't like the channel, I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments. If you like looking at pictures and videos of guns, follow me on Instagram. And as always, there are chapter markers down below so you can find what you're looking for. Let's get started. Arguably, one of the biggest use cases for .22 long rifle pistols is their ability to be trainer pistols. The FN502 has the same look and feel as the FN509, and it also uses the same holsters. The Sig P322 does not. It requires its own holster. It doesn't have the same dimensions as the Sig P320. It's its own pistol. So if you are looking for a trainer pistol for the P320, that's not it. However, it does feel good in the hands, it does shoot well, and if you're looking for a pistol for plinking or cheaper training, or if you shoot .22 long rifle for defense, this could be a defensive pistol, and that's where this pistol lies. All right, so for those of you that came here for the specifications, let's talk about those. So this pistol is labeled by Sig as a compact size pistol, but it feels like a full size pistol. It's 7 inches in overall length, 1.4 inches wide, 5.5 inches tall, and it weighs in at 17.1 ounces. It's got a 1913 style Picatinny rail and a single action trigger that comes with a flat and a curved trigger shoe, which is really nice. The barrel is carbon steel, the frame is polymer, and the slide is an alloy. It comes with 2 20-round magazines, a fiber optic front sight, and an adjustable rear sight for windage and elevation. It's got a safety, a threaded barrel, ambidextrous controls, and you can mount an optic with a Romeo 0 footprint. A lot of good features on this thing and a lot of good versatility. The design of the slide and the way you take it down is pretty interesting. You lock it back, release the takedown lever, and then pull it back further to release it. Pretty interesting. And to put it back on, you do that in reverse order. It comes with 2 muzzle adapters. We have a flush fit muzzle adapter mounted here. And you unscrew that to install a threaded muzzle adapter. When you have the threaded muzzle adapter mounted, you can't take the pistol down on the range. So if you want to swap in between the two, you'll have to bring a wrench to the range to do so. As far as the slide goes, there are front and rear cocking serrations, and they feel good, they're nice and aggressive, but you probably won't have much trouble anyway, being a .22 long rifle. But, you know, it's nice for press checks. If you look around, one of the biggest problems people are having with this pistol is its susceptibility to lead fouling in the barrel. I shot the first 1,000 rounds with Remington Gold, the bucket of bullets, and I had no problems with degradation or fouling. And I fired the next 500 rounds with Remington Thunderbolt, which is not a jacketed bullet. I knew others were having similar issues with fouling with non-jacketed ammunition, and the fouling in my case, I assumed was pretty bad. I wanted to see just how bad it was, and I reached out to a company called Teslong. And they sent me a borescope. The model they sent was the NTG 500. Full transparency, I did not pay for this, but after playing around with it for a while and using it to inspect the barrel, I would definitely recommend it. It's got a 45-inch flexible borescope, has a ton of good features, it's pretty affordable, and you can see for yourself how well it performs. So what you're about to see is my barrel after 500 rounds of non-jacketed Remington Thunderbolt. That's not too bad there in the middle. And there we have some pretty bad fouling. It's pretty dirty. Disgusting. It's really bad. And it doesn't matter if you're using the pistol for defensive use or plinking or training. If you can't hit what you need to hit when you need to hit it, it's a problem. And once the barrel starts to foul, you have to clean it to regain your accuracy. So before I shot my last batch of CCI Mini Mag, I cleaned it the best I could, and there was still some fouling, but it was a lot better. And the after results with the borescope showed that the jacketed CCI Mini Mag didn't foul up the barrel near as bad as non-jacketed ammunition. So I would definitely recommend shooting jacketed ammunition until SIG resolves the barrel fouling issues. Okay, let's talk about the optics, the sights. This is a Sig Romeo 0. It did not come with that installed. It comes with this installed. It's an optics cover plate, it's polymer, fiber optic, and as far as I know, this is only the second .22 long rifle pistol that was designed so you can mount a red dot directly to the slide. The first, if I'm not mistaken, was the FN 502. Regardless, this is a really good feature that a lot of manufacturers are moving toward, and I think a lot of people now realize the benefit of having a pistol mounted optic. However, unlike the FN 502, there are no alignment posts on the P322, and the tolerances for the optics cut don't facilitate a tight fit when installing the optic. So you can mount the optic and there's some room for play and error when aligning the optic to the slide. This doesn't seem like a huge problem because you can adjust the optic to get a proper zero, but if the pistol came with alignment posts like the FN 502, you could get it closer in line with the bore axis, and this did prove to be an issue. So at 740 rounds into the review, the red dot lost zero, and upon inspection, the screws had come loose. I had originally used the German torque method of Guten-Tight, but after checking the manual and reading the instructions, which nobody does, the screws needed to be torqued to 8 inch-pounds. So after torquing the optic correctly, I was good to go. For a minute. It came loose again after about 500 more rounds, and when it came loose, since there was no features to keep the optic aligned, even being loose, and no backup iron sights, it was basically unusable. So that's disappointing. I torqued it down again to 10 inch-pounds, and it lasted the rest of the review. The optic cut doesn't use an adapter, which is cool, so it sits relatively low on the slide. and it's designed for the Romeo Zero optic, which is also the RMSC footprint. So you can mount any compatible optic. Magazines. Yep, one new feature that I haven't seen in any other 22 long rifle pistol is this magazine capacity. The Sig P322 has a much higher magazine capacity than most other 22 long rifle pistols. It comes with two 20-round magazines, and they're a double stack design, which is not a common configuration for a 22 long rifle pistol. They're usually single stack and limited to around 10 to 15 rounds, like this guy, 15 round magazine on the FN502, so that's nice. The magazines, though, provided one of the highest failure rates when testing the pistol. They are relatively sensitive to loading, and I had several failures where I had to take the magazine out and adjust the rounds to load properly. When I had originally heard about the 20 round capacity, I was pretty excited, but it didn't really make a difference when I was shooting it, and I wouldn't trade the reliability for the extra capacity, for extra 5 rounds. Though you may find a combination of ammunition and magazines that do work well. Some of these ran a little bit better than the other ones, and they did degrade once they got really dirty, so cleaning them may help with some of your feeding issues if you have them. The pistol also comes with a loading tool to help depress the followers, which is actually really, really nice. I shot 2,000 rounds for this review, and it definitely saved my fingers. That was great. But the followers on the sides of the magazine, there's one on each side, they do work well to depress the magazine without the loading tool. So I kept hoping during the course of the review that the malfunctions that I was having was due to the ammunition. And it was, partially. After 1,000 rounds of the Remington Gold bucket of bullets and a moderately high failure rate, I used another 2 types of ammunition for the remainder of the review that Sig Sauer uses in their testing. The only ammunition that I could find locally was the Remington Thunderbolt and CCI Mini Mag. The Remington Thunderbolt was by far the worst. It caused the fouling issues, and I had an exorbitant amount of failure to feeds. Another failure to feed? Nearly every magazine with the Remington Thunderbolt had a failure of some type, and a very large majority of these were failures to feed, which I would accredit to the magazines, but who knows. The CCI Mini Mag performed like a champ. At 1,500 rounds, I was ready to throw this thing in the trash. But out of the 500 rounds fired with the CCI Mini Mag, I only had 5 failures total. That's a 99% success rate. So I was pretty happy with that. All failures to eject with the CCI Mini Mag, but it shot very, very, very well. One more notable discrepancy with the Sig P322 is the slide stop. Out of 100 magazines that I loaded, only a handful of them locked back on the last shot. As in, I can count the number of times it locked back on one hand. It's really bad. If you bump it while the slide is locked back, it's gonna release. If you look at it the wrong way, it's gonna release. If you talk bad about it behind its back, it's gonna release. It's not good. It's not good. I'm really not a fan of safeties, but if you are, you're in luck. This one's very easy to actuate, has positive engagement, it's high up on the frame, so you don't have to worry about actuating it or making contact with it when you don't want to. The takedown lever is also very good. It's very easy to actuate. And lastly, the magazine release. It's pretty standard, but it's good. The magazine well is slightly flared, good for practicing reloads for your training. The gun does feel very nice in the hand. It has a decently high undercut, so you can get very high up on the frame. One notable feature that I really like is it has a Picatinny rail, a 1913 Picatinny rail. If you're shooting 22s, if you're on a budget, whatever, you can do things like mount a light to your pistol to get those reps in at nighttime. It's fantastic. Or you can mount something like a Mantis X directly to it without an adapter, which is always nice. You know, this wouldn't be a proper review if we didn't talk about the trigger, just a little bit. I'm not too familiar with the design differences between centerfire and rimfire pistols, but it seems like 22 long rifle firearms tend to be softer, kind of spongy with their triggers. So let's just go through that. Here we go, let's pull it out of battery a little bit. Wall, break. And the reset, not too bad. Some people I've heard complain about it. I didn't really have any issues with it. It's better than some, not as good as others. It does come with a barrel flag that you can rotate 90 degrees so you can safely dry fire the pistol. I accidentally threw mine away, so I can't demonstrate. You aren't supposed to dry fire rim fire pistols because you could potentially deform your chamber. But I think you could use a piece of cardboard or something else to take the pistol out of battery, like that. But it's nice that they included that with the pistol and added that feature. It's something Sig is aware of and promotional about people training at home or using dry fire as a training tool. And I'm a big fan of that. Well, overall, I have mixed emotions about this pistol. I was very excited to get it. I wouldn't say I'm a Sig fanboy, but I like Sig. I was confident that it would do well and perform well, but I definitely think there are some problems that need to be addressed before I could recommend it. It's worth noting that when new firearms get released, there can be kind of a grace period, like there was with the P322, where issues like this get identified and resolved. So in the future, this may be a reputable, reliable pistol, but right now, I probably won't shoot it much. It does perform well with certain ammunitions. It ran nearly flawlessly with the right magazine combination and CCI mini mags. And there are obviously a ton of ammunitions out there that this may like better than what I used. So if you're set on this pistol, you may have to try out some different brands and ammo types. Another thing is the optic coming loose. That was a pretty big issue for me. I used Sig's torque specs. It still came loose, and it's not that it takes a long time to zero an optic, but if you shoot a lot and you don't bring the right tools to the range, having to re-zero every few hundred rounds can be pretty frustrating. I think the pistol has a lot of potential, but I don't think it's there yet. At least mine wasn't. If you're thinking of getting one, hopefully this gives you some insight. And with that, I hope you enjoyed the video. See you next time.